Good evening everyone, welcome to another Apex Point Racing League live stream, and feature race for tonight is our ACC GT3 series at Circuit Zolder. Round 5 for the gents tonight as they're just finishing up their free practice session at the moment. As always, not alone in the comments box tonight, got a friend with me in the booth sitting alongside me, fellow ACC veteran and Pro Series winner as well in the ACC series. Anthony, how are you?
Good, thank you. Good evening, all. Happy
Welcome
to be
everyone.
back doing another stream.
Yep. This one came up nice and quick after our last check-in at the with the Sprint Series drivers over in the Mazdas at, I believe it was Deep Forest Raceway from
That's
memory.
right.
Yep. Now we're kicking it up a few notches in terms of severity and seriousness. Obviously taking a step over to Assetto Corsa Competizione on our SimGrid server. Crossplay is enabled, so we have a mix of drivers in here tonight across PlayStation and Xbox as well. And as always, we have the two categories racing tonight, our development series, which is identified by the drivers with the red numbers next to their name, and the Pro Series drivers, which have the white or silver coloured backgrounds behind their numbers. But as we were talking just then, the game has shifted into qualifying. We're going to be jumping straight into things tonight. There's no rest for the wicked. We can't control the pace at which this goes tonight because this is actually a live race. So what you're seeing here tonight is not a a feature race watch back of a race that's already been run. All the action that you will see here tonight is live and happening in real time. So hope you enjoy. Thanks for tuning in, those that have popped in so far. I think I've seen Clayton, Chucky, M Sports as well. Thanks guys, welcome to the stream as well. Hope you enjoy yourself. So tonight we are here at Circuit Zolder. And it's going to be an interesting race, isn't it, Anthony? Because judging by the change from practice conditions into these conditions here, looks like it's gotten dark, has it?
Yes, so qualifying is being done at a different time than the race is. The race will actually start at 8 p.m. So there will be a transition from the evening into it'll get a bit dark, and then the qualifying is just in the dark as well.
Yeah, it looks like, according to what I can see here with the notes I have, it's 6 a.m. qualifying, so nice and early for the drivers.
Yep.
And then we will transition into the race, which will be an 8 p.m. start, which, judging by the location of the circuit, there should be still some daylight around, but it will transition into a little bit of a darker end to the race, which does have an effect on the overall temperature of the track, and will play mind games with drivers in terms of managing their tyre pressure levels and things like that. So it should be fairly interesting to see how this one pans out tonight. And as we see the first couple of drivers starting their hot laps, just a quick reminder that they do have a timed 15-minute qualifying session, so it's not a hot lap like our development and Pro Series over in Gran Turismo session. It's more of a traditional qualifying session, because in this game in particular you need to make sure that your setups are all dialed in quite nicely. You need a couple of laps, especially in these conditions in particular, to get your tyre temps up to the correct operating window. And there's little advantages that each driver can, I guess, apply to their setups in qualifying in particular, such as lighter fuel loads, more aggressive brake pads, and potentially some tweaks to downforce as well. Just especially on a track like this, there's a lot of high, I guess you could call them acceleration or top speed zones, but there's also some really long sweeping corners where you will rely on that downforce. So it's going to be an interesting combination of seeing which drivers are focusing on low downforce, such as the Mustang drivers. As we can see here, we have, I believe it's Clinton Bourne from memory. I got my notes there, right?
Yep.
In a Mustang. But Anthony, as well, I've noticed there's quite a few Porsches on the grid tonight.
Yeah, the Porsche actually is a car that for many seasons was a rarity given its temperament. It is probably the fastest car in the game up until the Mustang was introduced. The Mustang is so much faster in a straight line than any other car that it's actually power restricted. So we've put a BOP that we manually apply to the cars on the grid, and the Mustang has is the only car on the field with a power deficit. But in turn, it's been lightened up so it can party with the other cars in the corners. But the Porsche is a very, very quick car, and it's good to see multiple drivers using it on the field. And they've actually been doing very well with it as well. The problem with the Porsche is you have to be committed to the corner, so you have to be prepared. Like, your braking has to be completed, the throttle input has to be applied. And any micro adjustment, like playing with the throttle mid-corner, can really unstabilize the Porsche. So if you're following in traffic, and this is a problem when it's in a race, if someone in front of you, is slower in the corner and you have to make a throttle adjustment, you have to be very smooth with that adjustment rather than reactive, otherwise the car's weight will transfer and you can fly off the track, especially more so if you have a very aggressive setup on the car.
Yeah, so what about a truck like this as well in particular, because there are some lovely little chicanes with some, well, one in particular has quite the high curb, which requires a little bit of an aggressive cut to maximise the time, but I can already see as we ride on board here with Oscar Woods, he previously went through it and it really unsettled the Porsche there, maybe just running a little bit of a stiffer suspension setup, you never know.
Yeah, that's right. This track, I don't think I really recall driving the Porsche. I know I have driven it here because I do like driving the Porsche. I feel like it's like you said earlier, there are some long sweeping corners where the issues that I was saying about its instability can take effect, but a lot of the corners are pretty direct and straightforward, so it should do well here. I think cars that we're going to do the best here are going to be the cars that can actually ride the curbs. So these guys actually might be running a bit of a softer suspension setup, a bit more height, just so they can get advantage on the curbs, because when they come through these chicanes, they can really abuse them. So that will get them some time advantage.
Going to be an interesting combo between stiff suspension setups and some more forgiving, softer suspension setups, but it all seems to be working so far. I mean, at the risk of throwing out a commentator's curse right here, we haven't seen any yellow flags out on the track yet. As I said it just then, there comes up one. We've got car number 120 who jumps straight to the pits afterwards, so let's pretend that never happened and the commentator's curse did not cause an effect.
You also get that flag because some of the drivers actually might take the opportunity to actually stop on the track.
Yes, and jump
jump to the pits.
Yeah, and we may see some yellow flags in the pits as well, because that yellow flag carries over while they're in the pit. It's not necessarily something wrong with the pit stop there. It's just that they are
a game bug.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very annoying one, actually. But we may just do a quick little round the grounds in terms of qualifying at the moment. So currently in P1, as we approach about the halfway mark of qualifying for tonight's race, we have P Sargent, who's just ahead of Oscar Woods, the current leader in the Pro Series division. It's about 0.01 seconds between them, so barely anything there. I imagine that will shift quite a bit as we get to the end of qualifying. In P3, warming up his tyres on an outlap is Garcia, who is the Pro Series champion from season 10. Then we have Clinton Bourne in the Mustang. Interestingly enough, 1, 2 and 3 are all within 0.04 seconds of each other, so I imagine those positions will change by the time we finish qualifying and get the grid set for the race. Clinton Bourne's the exception, he's about a half second back. Then we have DDK Manimal in P5 at the moment, about 6 or 7 tenths adrift. Dave Corbino in the Ferrari, looks like he's still out there setting his laps just under a second away. Then we have Jay Hawk in the Audi R8, which sounds phenomenal in this game, I might add. And he's our lead development series driver in the position of P7 at the moment. So he's doing a good job there. He's had some mixed results so far this season. Third, fifth, a couple of fifths and a sixth. But right now he seems to be the leader of the pack in terms of the development series drivers right there in P7. And then we have the rest of the drivers which are still setting their laps about 2 seconds adrift, 3 seconds adrift, so they may have not had the best out lap or qualifying lap just yet, so we'll give them some time. They've got about 6 minutes to go, and we've got a couple of other drivers joining the grid at the moment, so at this point we have 15 drivers, and they will all hopefully have the chance to set a decent qualifying lap.
Yeah, that's right. 1:28 is a pretty quick time around here as well. So we might see some quick times come when the weather is a bit warmer. But 1:28 is their target time. These guys might get into the 27s. But 28, that's the time I was expecting for these guys this time in the morning.
Yeah, by the time by the time they finish their qualifying session, fuel loads get lighter if they just keep running on the same tank there and warm up their tyres after a few laps of some really hard and aggressive driving. We should expect to see those lap times start to drop a little bit further, so it's not over yet. P. Sargent is still holding the lead of the pack in P1 with his 128.6. But as Anthony said, we could be getting into the low 128s along with some other drivers, and we could already see quite a few more making their way into the within a second of that pole time at the moment. So
yep. These guys will also be running a bit more aggressive camber as well on their qualifying setups, so they can really get the maximum out of the cornering. Obviously, they're going to be using up their tyre wear. They are allowed to use as many sets of tyres as they like. This season, usually are restricted to 5 sets per event, but this season, because I made it a bit harder with the weather being variable in a lot of the cases, I allowed them to use as many tyres as they like.
We're not expecting any major changing conditions tonight, are we? I think from the forecast of what we can see.
No, it should be stable tonight. It's only set to a variable of 0, which means that there is no variable weather at all. The only variable will be the temperature based on the time shift, which is only a time multiplier of 1 as well, so it's 1 for 1. So
yep.
1 hour race, and in-game it's 8 o'clock, and we'll finish at 9 p.m.
Yep, which won't be too far off our local time here on the east coast of Australia. But obviously this is on the other side of the world in Belgium, I believe. That's where Circuit Zolder is based, if I'm not mistaken. Great circuit, mind you. I love the differences in circuit choices between games such as ACC and Gran Turismo 7 in particular. Just good to see a bit of variety and a bit some more GT style circuits in this game. Obviously they had that license with the GT World Challenge Europe and they're able to pull these tracks together, but yeah, this is one track in particular that I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy this track. I was saying that in the driver's briefing earlier tonight, with the guys saying this is a track that I've been constantly trying to get it up as a endurance race, because I'd love to see how busy it gets with a large number of cars on the track, and with all the blue flags that would happen, that you'd always have something to do and be battling with some kind of drama, and also driving this for an extended amount of time, you're always busy, so it's a lot of work.
Yeah, totally, and it's a short lap, isn't it? It's about 90 seconds in total, so we expect some blue flags tonight as well. And I think from memory, this is actually, if you load up ACC, you want to give it a go yourself, and just the offline career mode is actually the first track that or the second track, but this is the first official race that they throw you into as part of the championship mode. I think it comes after you do some testing at Monza.
Yeah.
We see a driver spinning there, number 12, Jovan Ballack, who does the right thing of just waiting for other cars to pass. So he'll butcher that lap and the next one, and he'll go again. So he's got a bit of time, 2 minutes left, so he'll scrub up his tyres on this lap and then set one final fly the next lap. But yes, as we were saying, in the career mode of ACC, you start off doing your tests at Monza in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3, and then the first race that you're actually thrown into as a full race weekend is here at Circuit Zolder. So all the drivers should be relatively familiar with that, and it's showing here in the qualifying times. We have about 13 out of 15 drivers setting a qualifying time, and so it could be interesting to see the last couple of drivers come through. They may set an absolute perler of a time and shoot right to the top of the leaderboard, but at the moment Sargent's holding strong. Oscar Woods in P2 hasn't been able to improve. He just needs to find a very, very small margin of a gain to
Mm.
get that jump on Sargent. But irrespective, if he stays in that position, they'll still be lining up side by side as they head into turn one. And if I'm not mistaken, if Woods is in P2, he should have the inside line into turn one. So that'll be, yeah,
Mm.
that'll be a
Yep.
fun one to work through as they get into turn one.
Yes. So the current pole will ultimately have to hold that outside line, but then have the inside for the next two turns. So it should balance out. But and these guys at the front, you'll see they're very, very capable drivers. So I don't want to jinx it, but we're probably going to see some good racing from those the pro drivers there. And I think the corner to watch, especially on lap one, will be the first chicane, because it
Yep.
has a very high, what would you call it, ripple strip?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see cars bouncing. So one of the items I addressed with them in the driver's briefing was the fact if in lap one rather, if they're going into these chicanes side by side, just be mindful that if you hit that incorrectly, you're going to bounce up and have contact with the car next
Cause
to
a
you.
lot of carnage. Yep, for sure.
And in this game, for those who aren't familiar, any kind of contact can give the car aero damage, and it won't heal. They have to pit to repair it, and they only have a 25-minute pit window as well, so they'll have to carry any damage they get to that pit window before they can have it repaired with their mandatory pit stop. Otherwise, I'll be pitting twice. So
While you were saying that, Anthony, actually the qualifying positions have changed. Pro Series winner Garcia has jumped to the top of the timesheets there. Sargent is coming over to finish his lap. Doesn't improve there, so he will hold on to P2 at the moment. Oscar, though, he actually managed to scrape through just as the qualifying timer was about to end. He had about 3 seconds just as he crossed the line there, so he's going to be pushing very hard. He did run a little wide on the exit of turn one, so that may have compromised his lap time here, but he's still pushing hard, utilising the entire track limits. We can see now on the left-hand side of your screen that the divisions have now found their balance between Pro Series and Development Series drivers, and Pro is the white, Development Series is the red. With the exception of Overbeek, who hasn't set a qualifying time, so he'll be starting at the back there. And it looks like Oscar has pulled out of his lap there, so he will be starting P3. And there's only one other car on the track. We have car number 120 of M. Brown coming through the final chicane to finish up qualifying here. So
only McLaren in the field.
That's right. Yeah, I'm surprised.
Early days we had too many McLarens, but now no one uses
yeah.
it.
And he holds on to 10th position, but second in the overall development series. I guess you could call it qualifying standings there. So, yeah, and interestingly, right at the back, we do have a Pro Series driver starting right down the back. Overbeek in P15 wasn't able to set a time, must have come into the qualifying nice and late, and yeah, just didn't have the chance to set a clean lap.
Yep. Another note to make for any audience members that are not aware, the differences in the division. These guys are not actually they're in their own leaderboard. So the pros are in their own leaderboard, and the development drivers have their own leaderboard, and they don't have an overall leaderboard. So they're technically not racing each other. So I usually stress that in the driver's briefing, that the development drivers at the front of their own pack, especially at the start of the race, don't try and dive up on the pro drivers, because it doesn't benefit them at all.
No, totally. Yep. Alright, so now we have the grid set for the start of the race. We've got a 2-minute countdown, and we will have the cars bopping and bouncing around and getting their settings in place for the race tonight. So just a quick recap of the race. We have an hour race tonight, starting at in-game time of 8 PM with a one-time time multiplier, so that should carry through to about 9 PM. We may or may not see the the sky go dark in this race in particular, but we'll be interested to see how that pans out over the next hour. There is a mandatory pit stop required tonight, and the pit window length is 25 minutes. So in the middle 25 minutes of the race, they will have to make their mandatory pit stop at any point during that window. And the only mandatory requirement for the pit stop tonight is a refuel. So the tyre change is optional, but I mean, most drivers, I imagine, if they're going to be taking on fuel, by the time it takes to fill up half a tank or for the race that they require, they will likely change their tyres as well. So just a quick whip around the grid before we get underway with our rolling start for a one-lap roller. We've got Garcia in P1, Pro Series champion winner from last season, followed by Sargent in P2, Oscar Woods P3, Clinton Bourne in P4, Dave Corbino in P5, DDK Matamore in P6, Andrew Byrne in P7, and R. Kozowski in P8. Then we have Hawk in 9th, M. Brown in 10th, M. Juice in 11th, J. Ballack in 12th, D. Backstar in 13th, C. Ford in 14th, and J. Overbeek, the last Pro Series driver, starting in P15. As always, guys, thank you for joining in ahead of the race tonight. We can see we've got about 15 to 16 people here. We're seeing all your comments, we're seeing all the likes and things like that. So if you haven't dropped in a comment or haven't dropped a like already, please do so and share the stream with anyone else that's interested in watching as well. And for any GT7 drivers here that are not in their panic rooms after this, after today's update with all the physics changes and trying to find out what the method to the madness is in PD's latest update, thank you for joining, and feel free to ask any questions really about the differences between this game and GT7. You know, they're very similar in the sense of, you know, GT3 style racing and things like that, but ACC is a little bit more highly geared. And speaking of highly geared and having problems, we've got an issue here with car number 12, Jovan Ballack. He hasn't moved off the grid here. Car 484 is also moving very slowly down the grid.
He's got it started. He got it started.
Okay, yep. Okay, so Jovan Ballack is now going to be catching up, or hopefully these guys can communicate with each other and not crash into one another.
Oh, I missed the timer. So if you fall back too far, it will reset you to the pits. There's a timer.
Forward as well there, we can see. Yep. So they're going to have
they fell too far behind.
Pit start for them as the other drivers go around to.
So yeah, these guys have to get their car started and moved off the grid. So he looks like he's had trouble with his wheel getting his car started. Maybe he's mapped it and he's forgot what button it was, or it just hasn't happened for him. I'm not sure what's going on there for Jovan. But when I changed over to him, I saw his lights come on and he's got the car turned on. But too far behind.
They're all bunching up quite nicely as they head into the third and final sector of their out lap or their warm-up lap. They'll be weaving, holding onto their brakes, getting as much tyre temp in there as possible. And it's not the most ideal of circuits for building tyre temp right before the start, because there's a nice long straight and a very short chicane right before they go and do their run to the line. But they're all bunching up quite nicely here. And a correction to my previous comment, P1 will actually start on the inside heading into turn 1.
Okay, yeah, so these guys will be driving with their brakes on to warm up their discs, because that will also warm up their wheels and tyres.
Yep.
So they can get as much pressure into them as possible to get the ideal tyre temperature or tyre.
Here we go, they've all bunched up quite nicely here at the moment. They're doing some last start-stop routines on their brakes. They're almost side by side as they head through the final chicane to finish their warm-up lap as they look to begin the start of the race here. Bunched up all quite nicely together. Let's see if they're all able to get through not just round one, lap one unscathed, but also that first chicane. And they are heading towards the line now, waiting for the call of the green flag, and they are off and racing here at Circuit Zolder. Nice clean start for everyone. Rolling start always makes that nice and easy. They will pile into turn 1. Corbino going for a move right up there on the inside, manages to hold on to it, and then Sargent runs a little bit wide. Sargent's actually gone back a couple of positions already off the start. Oh, there's a big off in the background there. Holy moly, there was a huge off there. Car 202. Right off in the background there. I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but we've got Andrew Byrne right off in the distance there, along with car number 91 of if I can find that. Is it 91 or a different? Oh, we've got a little bit of lag playing on here. We see the ping. Maybe that was a contributing factor there. But we'll catch up back at the front as they make their way through the chicane there. So there's a lot of action happening there. Garcia has seemed to avoid all of it and carried on quite nicely. Corbino and Oscar Woods are trying to communicate with each other. Don't go side by side through the chicane there. They make it through though. I think they were both trying to communicate with one another to see exactly what was going on and who was going to go where. But they've all made it through. Garcia is the biggest beneficiary by breaking away there. He's got a good gap there. And Oscar looks like he's held on to P2 ahead of Dave Corbino. He's made up quite a number of spots off the start there, which is great to see.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it went well for, was it Andrew Byrne?
Andrew Byrne, yes. I think there was a jumping Porsche 911 around there as well. With
international driver. It's
that'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, so if you have a look on the next to the racing number on the telemetry over to the left-hand side,
yes.
you'll see their connection strength. So
964 is not a good number.
Yeah.
As you can see him sort of going sideways through corners, and the game is struggling to keep up at the moment. But speaking of people that are struggling to keep up,
you're talking about your latency. I'm talking about in the game. Also, for each driver, you can actually see their latency issues. So, like if you have a look at the emblem for the car, some of them will be red. Some of them will have a little green line there that tells you their connection.
Speaking of connections, we've noticed some comments in the stream about the stream being laggy or anything. Just let us know, guys, if it's coming through all okay. There's obviously going to be some latency in the race itself due to online racing conditions. But if there's anything that we can fix on our end, just shout out and we'll do our best to navigate that. But looks like Garcia is still breaking away a little bit. Oscar is catching up to him, holding onto the back of him. And Dave has very slowly become a bit of the cork in the bottle there. And interestingly, Anthony, as we sort of discussed prior to the race start, the Pro Series driver that started at the back of the grid, Jay Overbeek there, has climbed up from P15 to P7 already and running in the mix of the Pro Series drivers already. So, as we expected there.
Yeah, Jay Overbeek is one of the front runners. He probably wanted to start at the back to avoid the carnage. It's obviously been a strategy choice of his. But he's going to have a hard time catching up to Woods and Garcia. Those guys have been pretty phenomenal this season.
Yeah, they have been very, very quick. We do have a yellow flag down at the back of Sector 3. Can't see it on screen here as the camera pans across there. We've got car number 970M Deuce with a very damaged Mustang there. I can say for absolute certainty there was some sort of incident involved there. But he's choosing to carry on. He's lost a lot of positions there, but still carrying on. Hopefully it's not too bad and he can manage through that damage and get going there. But Garcia leads from Woods, Corbino in P3, and DDK Manimal in P4, holding off Seaborn in P5.
Another interesting thing will be if the sun does start to come down towards the end of the race and these cars have damage to the front end and their headlights are severely damaged, and they'll know because when they hit the brakes, their lights will be flickering. That when the sun comes down, they will be flagged by the marshals to repair that damage, and if they don't, they can be penalised.
A bit of an off there between Corbino and Manimal. I'm not sure if there was actual contact involved or whether Manimal's late braking sort of spooked Corbino, but they both went off there. Manimal doesn't feel like he's responsible for that because he's going around the outside on the grass and Corbino on the inside into the chicane. But he had to pull that up. They're still kind of side by side. They're making contact again. Carrying on, Overbeek actually runs wide off the track there, so I imagine both those drivers could get through as well. Chucky just commented that some of these chicane track limits look aggressive. It's actually encouraged to cut them quite aggressively. But overall, in terms of track limit penalties on a track like this tonight, I don't remember them being too much of an issue. Anthony, can you recall?
No, you can cut a lot on the chicanes as long as you have a tyre on the circuit. On the second chicane there, you can pretty much drive and keep as long as your tyres are touching a ripple strip, you're going to be fine. So you can kind of cut a lot through there. That's why you'll see the bollards have all been knocked away and whatever else.
Corbino and DDK.
It was coming. I was going to say it earlier, but I didn't want to say too much. DDK, quite aggressive driver. I can't really call him out for that because I took him out in the last race I raced with him, so he'll just say, right back at you, pal.
Hot calling the kettle black there, but no,
Yeah.
I think they used up their lifelines in terms of side-by-side overtakes through chicanes too many times so far
Yeah.
tonight, and someone was going to come out worse off, and unfortunately, it just
Yeah.
seems like the luck never falls the way of Corbino and the Ferrari. Maybe he needs to change his car. Maybe the voodoo's in the car itself, and he
That's
should
it.
get rid of the Ferrari.
So what will be happening for these drivers as they're doing cuts as well, if they are getting off track, they'll be getting little alerts popping up on their screen saying that they have cut. And if there's no time gain, it'll be a no time gain cut alert. But if they do cut and the game believes there's been a time advantage, they'll get a warning. Now they get 3 warnings, and the 4th warning is a drive-through penalty.
And that will pretty much ruin your race right there and then. So be keen to avoid any track limit penalties through the course of the race tonight. Got a nice little battle pack forming here towards the middle of the field with D Baxter, and DDK Manimal is behind him, obviously catching up from the error and the incident that he had incurred earlier. So we've got them pretty close together. I imagine DDK will get past them very quickly, but the other Development Series and Pro Series drivers will be coming through as well. So it'll be a little bit of time until they catch up to one another, but I'm sure they'll be able to get past them pretty quickly. But yeah, Baxter is just looking to hold on to his current net P3 Development Series position here in the race tonight, as DDK is already looking to get a move done on him.
Yeah, so you would have just seen there on the stream, guys, that the different lines they're taking between those 2 BMWs from the development to the Pro Series, and the Pro Series driver taking way more liberty with the chicane.
It's almost that risk versus reward type of thing. Something's happened with DDK because he was behind both those cars, and now he's like way off the track there. I'm not exactly sure what happened to him there. The camera pans across. It looks like he may have just caught himself out there, but he's carried on. He doesn't seem to have too much damage in his car, so there could be a possibility that he just spun or caused some other problem there. But most of these drivers, if they do have damage at the moment, they're going to wait until that pit window opens to take out 2 birds with 1 stone rather than do an extra pit stop. Or actually here it looks like Andrew Byrne is redressing, so there may have been an incident where he was partially responsible, and DDK is just spinning under his own accord there, just probably overheated the tyres in that previous incident, or they got a little bit dirty. For those who play Gran Turismo 7, dirty tyres don't work the same way in this game as they do in Gran Turismo 7. In particular, if you have a spin, even if you stay on the track and keep all 4 wheels on the tarmac, your tyres will be so severely inflated in temperature that they just become skis, essentially. You become very, very slippery very, very quickly, which I think is what happened to DDK there.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate to see Andrew Bourne having a pretty bad start to the race. He's a very capable driver. This is a driver that could really be up at the top with the front guys and have a potential to win this race. He's very quick, so he has had some bad luck of late, and last season as well. He had a really bad trot with incidents. So whether it's his ability to avoid incidents or he's just been getting really unlucky, finding himself in situations without the drivers. Not his fault. He's a very tidy driver, but unlucky a lot of the times.
It's been a bit of a mixed bag in terms of results across the Pro Series division tonight. We've had between Oscar, Woods, Garcia and Bourne, they've all won a race at different stages, and they haven't been able to capitalise and win a second race. So it's very much on between those 3 at the moment, as they're obviously sitting at the front of the grid in 1, 2 and 3 respectively here at the moment, but they're also sitting 1, 2 and 3 in the overall Pro Series standings. And then it looks like Sinclair has been the best of the bunch in the Development Series, but he doesn't appear to be here tonight, so that's a great opportunity for Matthew Brown to leapfrog him in the standings. He's only 4 points behind him in the Development Series, so yes, that'll be a good one. And if Jovan in particular can also have a strong result tonight, he'll be able to jump a few levels there, but I don't think that pit start is going to do him any favours.
Yeah, well, he yeah, well, yeah, that's right. I was just going to say, like, I thought Jochen had come up the field a bit, but yeah, I could see him down there in 14th position overall. I was getting confused with Jay Hawk. I just thought of Jay. But yeah, M. Brown, very, very fast driver actually. I think consistency may be something he is working on, and once he gets that under control, this guy's going to be unstoppable. I can see him being a pro driver in the not too distant future.
Absolutely. We might do a quick little round the grounds as we get through the 10-minute mark of the race so far. So we have Garcia in P1. He's got about a 4.5 second gap to Oscar in P2. So the two Porsches up front running 1 and 2. Bourne in P3 and the Mustang is only about 3 seconds behind there. So doing his best to catch up, definitely within ear and eye shot of the Porsches in front. Maybe Garcia's a little bit too further down the road there, but started as well as hanging on to the back of him in P4. Jay Overbeek, who started right at the back of the grid, has done a great job in the Ferrari to pull himself up 10 grid positions to P5. Then we have Matthew Brown leading the Development Series drivers category in P6. Jay Hawk, who was initially on pole in the Development Series drivers in P7. Dan Baxter in P8 with Dave Corbino, who was in the unfortunate, I guess, driver involved with an incident there with another Pro Series driver who's sitting there in P9, but it's still a long way to go, it's not over yet. C Ford in P10th. Kozlowski in P10, 11 is going very defensive against Andrew Byrne. Oh, they get very, very close there. There might be just a little bit of touch there. Kozlowski's, well, I suppose they are meant to be defending from each other's positions there because they are all Pro Series drivers, but all out of place in the top 10, well, not the top 10, but just outside the top 10. So this will be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Might actually try and get a different view of this if I can.
Get that helicopter view going.
Yep, if I can, yep. Love this game in terms of the how quirky the menus are and how unclear everything is. It's very, very confusing at the best of time. So we'll go here, and then if I quit back, we should be able to get a helicopter view of this three-way battle. As one driver actually goes by, I think that's Garcia that went off there. No, it was actually Byrne, my apologies. So Byrne ran wide, DDK has gone through, but now he has to get past Kozlowski in the Porsche, and I think lag might be a bit of a contributing factor here. He goes off the track there, lets him through. Maybe there was a reason.
Yeah, I think he's letting him through. I think he's just letting him through. I think he knows he's having a bit of lag, and having DDK, who isn't afraid to touch you when your car's lagging, could work out worse.
Not in a good way. or he could be redressing for the incident involved with.
Oh, that's possible. Yep.
Andrew Byrne there, but it doesn't seem to be. He's going quite defensive.
No, he's defending. Yep.
Yep. And it's very interesting, that corner in particular, that hairpin right down the back of the circuit. It's almost like the racing lines on the left-hand side, but there is a very viable line in the middle of the circuit there. So as you can see from this helicopter view, you can really understand the grip levels of the track and the differences that there are, just like any track really in particular. But in this game in particular, Anthony, that where the rubber's being laid down plays a pretty big factor in terms of where those grip levels are.
Oh, it's night and day really. You get in those marbles, your car's going to be loose. You get on those on the rubber track.
You can actually hear them in the roll cage, or like rattling around. The lack of sound deadening in the car in this game.
And people who aren't familiar with the game, if you look at the top of the stream there, you'll see that the track is actually optimal. So in practice sessions, typically the track will be green. That's telling you that the track is not even rubbered in yet. So you're not going to have as much grip. As Welski has done himself a mischief.
Oh no! Yep, he caught it there. Yep, just pushing a little bit too hard. You can see that latch on the bumper has popped off as well. I think he was defending quite aggressively there, so it was only a matter of time that you can hold on to that type of aggressive defending and not.
I think he's defended very, very aggressively and got on the grass there, because the way his car reacted, I only caught the back end of it just starting to slide, and it's like he's touched the grass under braking, and it's just put him well off balance.
Yep. Drop down a few positions there in a nice clear air zone, which I'm sure will be great news for all the other drivers that will be trying to navigate past him with his latency. Obviously we're Australian based and he's based in Poland from my understanding, so there's obviously going to be some sort of issues there. Garcia doesn't have that problem. He may have that problem in a few laps time when he comes to lap him if he does get to that point, but we'll catch up on that matter as we get to it. Looks like Oscar is continuing to just hold his own there. Seaborn has pulled in the gap just a little bit. It used to be 2 seconds, now it's about 1.2, going on 1.3. Sargent's in a good spot there, hanging on there, and Overbeek as well. So the top, well, with the exception of P1, the top 5 have done a good job of just getting nice pace in between them. It'll be interesting to see if the pit stops will play any consideration if some drivers have a little bit of damage, or maybe some drivers are running heavy, some of them are running light for the first 10. So it's still not over just yet between the positions of 2 to 5. We see our first pit stop actually. I think that's that's the Porsche of R. Kozlowski coming into the pits to repair the damage. I don't believe the pit window is open just yet. So I think the damage was just too much to carry on, so he's getting that fixed at the moment.
Yeah, he would have too much damage. His steering will probably be twisted with that kind of damage. So
move there from Corbino, sorry about that. Very aggressive move up on the inside of turn 1, left it very late, but did a very, very good job of getting by Jay Hawk in the Audi. So, Corbino there gets the move done. Moves up to P7.
Beautiful. Good work for Dave. Happy to see him getting back in there. And
car number 970 is being shown a yellow flag. This sideways almost in the middle of the track, Anthony. And he's struggling to get that car fired up. Hopefully he knows that there's other cars coming. This is a very dangerous
position. If he does the right thing, he's going to wait there. He knows he has to wait. He's reversing
he did wait, Anthony.
Oh my God.
Oh, don't tell me that was Dave Corbino.
No, that was Overbeek.
Overbeek.
He's taking out a different category car.
That is a horrendous rejoin of the track, and
Juice has he's been improving a lot, but it tends to be a lot of these kind of things happening with blue flags and
mate, for
rejoins.
Overbeek there, that was just super unfortunate there. That would be life ending if this was reality potentially. But thank God we're obviously in a sim racing environment. That was a huge incident. Then Mdus jumps to the pits there, gets towed there. So for anyone who's not familiar with the game, you can jump to the pits at any time during the race, but what the game will apply is a sort of like a time penalty to reflect if you were being towed back to the pits. So if anything, depending on where you are, it might be better to drive the car damage back to the pits, because you might get there slow, but it's better than serving that extra penalty. So
that's what I was going to touch on with the Porsche driver of Kowalski, how you pronounce that name,
Mike Wazowski.
He's driven it back to the pits, and he's probably had a bent steering rack, and his wheel would have been bent, and he would have been struggling it back to the fighting it back to the pits. I don't really advise doing that due to the fact that you could at any time swing the car back into oncoming traffic. But Juice has done the right thing, got the car back to the pits. He'll have to serve probably a 2-minute cool down for the tow. He'll get back up there.
He hasn't moved since, so he might just be calling it a day there. We'll see how that goes.
It'll be a time penalty. He'll have to wait.
Okay. We've got a couple of drivers in the pits. I mean, aside from the 2 that got towed there, so the pit window has opened, so some of the drivers are coming in to get that out of the way immediately. Most likely either running light on fuel or having some damage that they want to clear out of the way there. But we're just hanging on to this battle here between Manimal and Baxter. Manimal being a pro driver and Baxter being a development series driver. They did try to go side by side through the first chicane, and like I said, I think Manimal would have used his side-by-side through the chicane credits already tonight, so he might not have too many left. He has to take some evasive action there. He may be taking an early pit stop there.
I forgot to mention this in the driver briefing, that when the pit lane is open, if you've got traffic in front of you, they're going to be braking for the corner, and they're going to be braking earlier than you want to be braking. And there's nothing you can do.
This is true, yeah. I would hazard a guess either he wasn't anticipating the earlier brake line of
a development
Baxter
driver.
being a development series driver, but you're probably right in the sense that he was interested in going into the pits because he did have a little bit of damage from earlier.
Yeah. Also, just to touch on a point that you made earlier before the race started about the pit stop, the strategy I'd be doing for this race would be no tyres, specifically because you could be running a full load of fuel and come in and just chuck 1 litre in and dash out, which is pretty much a stop-start in the pit stop. So you save 30 seconds. The tyre change taxes you 30 seconds. The tyre change and the fuel happens consecutively, so they you don't have to do one or the other. It happens at the same time.
Looks like DDK has just taken fuel and just carrying on straight out there. That was a very quick pit stop there. We've got a question in the chat from Chucky, an a GT7 development series driver. Is there a pit lane penalty like in GT7? I don't believe there is in terms of crossing the pit line, if I'm not mistaken, Anthony. However,
you will get an alert that you've invalidated the lap, which doesn't really matter because it's an in or out lap in any case. So you will get an invalidation, and when I do the statistics, it does show like you have invalidated those laps. So we can tell if you have cut. I don't penalise for it because typically in ACC these guys are very professional. They're not trying to do those kinds of shenanigans. But the difference for pit stops here, there are penalties and they're quite severe for speeding in the pits. So you have to manage your speed when you pit stop in the ACC. If you speed, you have to come around again and do a stop-go penalty of 30 seconds.
Yep, it's not like Gran Turismo 7 where you can just absolutely fly straight into the pits like we were all doing this week at Tokyo Expressway. As you approach the pit, there is the pit line where the limiter needs to be applied, and you need to drop your speed and apply that limiter yourself. There are some mechanics in the game to help apply it automatically, but you need to reduce your speed to about 80 kilometers per hour before you hit that line. If you are doing 81 when you hit that line, it's an immediate drive-through penalty which you have to serve within the next 3 laps. So you may see some drivers being issued drive-through penalties for tonight for that exact purpose, because anyone trying to gain a tenth or two just by slowing it down at the last minute and not getting it quite under that speed in time, you will pay the price.
Yep, and also you have to hit the pit box, and if you miss the pit box, the pit crew come and grab the car and they drag you back, and it just takes a bit more time, so you'll lose 5 seconds getting your car back into the pit box and lift it up off the ground.
So kind of like Formula 1 games where you have the option of like, it either does it automatically or you can do it yourself manually. That is not possible in this game. You need to actually drive your car to the pit box and stop dead on the marks to have the most efficient pit stop possible, because like Anthony said, if you miss your box, then it's almost like what would happen in a real racing situation where the pit crew would have to move, they'd have to jack your car up and then roll it back.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. If you're coming into the pits, you see the pit line, you hit your programmed pit limiter button, and the car, if you're in the right gear, first gear, it will decel down to 50 kilometers per hour, and you can keep your foot flat to the ground. Or you can do the automated way where you get the car into first gear, get the car slowed down to 50 kilometers per hour, and as soon as you cross the pit line, you can put your foot flat to the ground and hold to 50 kilometers.
I may jump back to the non-helicopter view, so just bear with me, people watching from home, while I quickly figure this one out by doing a little bit of tweaking on my end.
So I'll just talk about in the leaderboard to the left. When it comes back, you'll see which cars have pitted, because they'll have a green square next to their racing number on the screen there, and the cars with the yellow boxes and the number 1 in it, the number 1 representing how many mandatory pit stops they have left to complete. That's how you identify who's pitted and who hasn't.
Yep, so Oscar came in, I think, pretty much immediately when the pit window opened there, so he's the first of the Pro Series drivers to have pit, and he's found himself in a lovely spot of clear air, so I think that's working out really well for him there. So he'll be gaining or not losing as much time as if he pitted into traffic. Garcia, being at the lead of the race, I imagine his mentality will be, well, I'm going to go as long as I can based on my strategy, and if I run into any back markers, then I'll pit to get myself some clear air. And the rest of the drivers will be carrying through as well. Manimal has pit, probably to fix that damage and get that refuel, so he seems to be in a good spot there with some nice clean air. And Andrew Byrne has pit as well, so... And Overbeak, we got something happening here, Denny?
Yeah, I was just going to, when you finished commentating that part, I was going to say that Medusa has looked like he has parked in the pits. As I was watching him parked in the pits, the other Mustang up ahead has obviously applied too much throttle trying to leave his box in the pit lane and then banged into the pit wall a little bit.
Get some more damage on the way out for you there. Yep, enjoy that.
You do have to drive yourself out of the pit box as well, so the other thing, you have to get your car started. And out of the pit box when the car's dropped, and you have to time it right. And he's obviously had his foot flat to the ground and just got a bit loose in the rear end.
Now Dave Corbino has found himself up into P5. Admittedly, he hasn't done his stop yet, so there's probably a couple of people that will be behind him that will jump in when he does his stop. But he's coming up to a development series driver, which he knows he should be faster than. Be interesting to see how he chooses to, I guess, navigate or go past this driver in particular. Runs wide there, Brown slowing him down unfortunately a little bit. If I was Corbino, I'd be considering a move into the chicane, but it's interesting because some development series drivers may fight it, some may just let it go. Looks like Brown is wanting to fight it. Corbino goes wide around the outside. Does he hang on to it? Nicely done there, very wide line there. Outside line overtake there from Corbino, gets the job done. Moves himself up into P4 net. He still needs to serve his pit stop. And speaking of pit stops, we have C Ford coming into the pits. So he's coming to serve his pit stop. You can see the pit line there with it's actually a very slow limiter at this track in particular, Anthony, 50 kilometers per hour.
That's correct.
Yes, very, very slow. As he hits the wall as well for good measure on the way in. Luckily he hasn't had his car tended to just yet. So he'll be coming in, and Chucky, if you're still watching and interested, you'll see him moving over to the right hand side. He will find his box, which you can't see in this view, but there'll be a box spot for him there, and then he stops, and that's when his car is being worked on. So it doesn't show any visuals in this replay view, but when you're racing in the game yourself, you will see little mechanics running around your car and doing the thing that they need to do.
Yeah, I thought it was maybe C Ford that was in the pitch just a lap earlier. Maybe and that was a Mustang before, wasn't it? Maybe. I could be mistaken.
All good, Chucky. Glad you appreciate the intel. Always happy to ask any questions, and if you have any other interests in ACC, maybe check us out in the off season. We have the server running in a sort of practice style environment, and often do a one special off race event. So you're welcome to jump in anytime if you have the game and give it a crack, and Anthony will always be there to help anyone interested. So just reach out and we can get the job done. Ford's
if anyone wants to jump on at any time, I'm happy to jump on with you guys and get you set up and give you a car set up and talk you through how all that works and watch you do some laps and give you some pointers. Always happy to do that.
Alright, well, things are settling in. We're almost at the halfway point of the race. Looks like we've had one of the leading cars actually come into the pits there. Bourne, or leading is in like one of the cars on the top, in the top three positions there. So Bourne's come into the pits. I imagine the pit window's got a little bit of time left. You can see there in the top right hand side, the pit window is open for another 13 minutes. So we've still got at least half the field that is still yet to pit. And let's see where they will all come out at the end of that in about 13 minutes time.
Yeah, that's when it's going to be interesting to see where the field places at the end of the pit window. The guys who come in early versus the guys who are going to stay out late. A lot of the guys who stay out late if they're in the pack or if they've got passing to do just in case they cop any damage. They still have time to get it repaired and not have to do another pit stop. So some people might want to hang on to the pit window as long as possible, and then you have other drivers that are trying to take advantage of getting an early one done and get some new clean air.
Yep, Sargent did a great job there of stopping on his marks there to bring the car down to the 50 km/h speed limit right before the line there. We can tell by the way that the hazard lights flash on the Porsche as well as the rain light as well. So he rolls into the pits to complete his pit stop. It's getting a bit cloudy out there, Anthony. There's no chance of rain tonight, is there?
No, there won't be any rain, but it's probably just going to start getting darker.
Okay, so track temperatures will drop, which we have seen.
Have a look at the state of that Porsche.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's filthy.
It looks a bit scratched. Sargent goes for a very quick stop there, just a quick refuel carrying on there. No damage repaired there. Conditions have changed, Anthony, as we were sort of discussing earlier. The track temperature has dropped 1 degree. It doesn't seem like much for those of you watching at home, but when it comes to ACC in particular, a degree in track temperature difference can cause absolute chaos to your tyre pressures.
Especially if it's going down. 18 degrees is not too bad. When it gets down to 16 degrees, the guys will be struggling to keep the cars.
Oh, I'm trying to make it sound more interesting for the people at home. Come on, Anthony, chuck me a bone here.
I'll chuck you a bone. I'll give an explanation on the guys' tyre pressures. So that the temperature drop will mean that their tyre pressures will be 0.1 difference in the tyre pressures from their optimal tyre pressure. So they would have practiced an optimal tyre pressure for their car. Let's say it's like I'll just pick a round number of 27 psi. It can be in a range of 26.5 to 27.5, and 27 is typically where I like to have my tyre pressure. Mm-hmm. Different courses, different tracks, you might want to do something different. But if you've got your car set up for the track to be at 20 degrees, 20 degrees, and you've set it up to have your tyre pressures at 27 psi at 20 degrees, and it drops down to 18, you're going to lose 0.2 psi.
Sorry, as you were talking there, we saw Baxter going for a little bit of a Tokyo drift through the chicane there, managed to hold it together and still carrying on. Looks like Garcia is going to go right at the end of the pit window there. He hasn't run into any back markers there, so there's no need for him to come into the pits just yet. It'd be funny if I'm saying that, then he goes in. Nope, he decides to carry out one more time. Got a yellow flag at turn 1, car 84 over Beak. Looks like he's spun around but carried on there. But Garcia is actually going to run into a fair bit of traffic here that is leaving the pits. Might just jump on board with him there as he comes through turn 1. He's coming to a nice little gap there, but I imagine he'll catch car number 107 quite quickly there. Baxter, as mentioned earlier, but he's still in a good spot with a good amount of clean air. So he and Dave Corbino have still yet to pit. They're the two leaders at the front with the biggest gap from the other drivers. But, I mean, Oscar is not too far behind Corbino. Neither Sargent's done a great job of pulling Oscar in a little bit here. So I imagine these two will be pretty close together for the remainder of the race. So we will check.
Dave Corbino has crossed the line now, because you would have seen that it says he's +1 lap. He's not actually a lap down on the leader, Corbino. He just hasn't crossed the start-finish line, and we won't get a split now until he crosses the first sector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't imagine he will be contending for a podium position at this point. Obviously had that incident earlier with DDK and also just navigating through some back markers there. So as we get this split time coming up as he runs through there, he may be not too far off Garcia, but he will drop back a few positions when he does his pit stop.
Yeah, so hopefully Dave has a strategy where he's not taking on tyres, because he needs to get in and out as quick as possible to hold that position from Sargent.
Correct, yeah, and hopefully they don't forget that they need to pit as well. What would happen, Anthony, in the instance of if you forget to pit during your pit window?
It would be a good time to have Kevin on the chat right now, my cousin, because Kevin likes to leave it to the last minute, and if it does tick over and you miss it, if it ends on the lap, do you think you're going to come in and it ends? It's too bad. It will give you a 1.5 minute penalty.
Overbeek has gone off again there at the chicane. It looks like the victim of attacking the curbs too aggressively, bouncing off and smashing into the wall, because that front end of the Ferrari does not look very happy. But while that was happening, we actually checked in with Garcia, who's pulled the trigger, coming to the pits there. So Oscar Oscar's actually coming around across the main line here. I'd be very surprised if he gets in front of Garcia that easily. He may be a lap down. I'm not sure, but at this point, it looks like Oscar and Sargent have jumped Garcia.
Drive-through penalty for Dave. That is so unfortunate.
Oh, mate. That's for track limits, got to be right, because he's
That's
still out on the track
limits.
at the moment. Yeah.
Yes, that's track limits.
I'm perplexed. Oh, because we've got another yellow flag. DDK's in the pits, so he may have, and he's got a yellow flag, so I'm assuming he's been towed there and had a bit of an incident. Anthony, I'm perplexed. Garcia's been in the pits for a very long time.
Yeah, right.
And he's dropping down the order quite massively there. He had a huge lead.
He might be changing tyres. This is what I was saying earlier. Like, if you're changing tyres, it's going to take some time. It takes 30 seconds to change your tyres. The other guys have just been coming in for a dash of fuel and jumping out. The lead that Garcia had, he must have been lapping so much faster than the other drivers, which just tends for me to believe that he had a very light car. So he was running half the fuel.
Played the aggressive card, maybe. Corbino coming through either to do a pit stop or to serve his drive-through. Yeah, maybe there's potentially an issue here, because he's been in there for at least over a minute, and I mean stopped for over a minute there. So
right.
Corbino is coming to do. No, he's moving there. Yep, coming just out in front of Corbino, who's doing his drive-through. So Dave's going to have to get his skates on and go back around and get himself into the pits, because he still needs to serve his pit stop. Yeah, that's correct.
He's just cleared it. He's just cleared it, and he's out. He's come out behind.
No, he's pit stop, not his drive-through. He's still got to go into the pits.
No, it just told me. It just came up and it said cleared. Am I wrong?
No, he's pit stop. Sorry, not the drive-through. He cleared the drive-through just then.
Oh, so he hasn't done it. Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
You're picking up what I'm putting down. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm very confused as to what's happened there with Garcia, because he's gone from effectively P1 with a huge amount of time to P10.
And he hasn't cleared his pit stop.
No. Surely that's just the game catching up on. Maybe he didn't have a pit strategy set up. Maybe there was something like that.
Yeah, that could be an issue. He's probably come into the pits and then he hasn't he has forgot to put fuel or add fuel, and he's sat there and they've dropped the car, and he's probably just, as I can't speak to his reaction, but if I had done this mistake, if you haven't programmed a fuel or a pit stop strategy, you have to do it on the fly, and you have to do it before you hit the box. And so he probably hasn't had fuel programmed, and he's stopped, and then I would have been like, had the shits, and I would have sat there just kicking myself a bit,
yeah, because you didn't have something set up ready to roll. That's really unfortunate, I guess, for Garcia. That looked like it was his race for the taking there. You see another car off there, 484 Cam Ford in the BMW, Cal Ford, sorry, in the BMW. He's got a little bit of a spin through the chicane, but carrying on, so managed to work through that one there. Garcia coming in again to do his stop, so hopefully he has programmed that and done a really nice short stop. Dave coming in to serve up. Interestingly, Dave will be... wait, he's actually ahead despite serving a drive-through penalty. He's in P3.
Yeah, Dave also hit the pit wall on the way into the pit lane there, and so he will also have damage to repair unless he turns that off. So you can also opt to repair your car, whether it's mechanical damage or aero damage. Another thing for the people who are not ACC drivers who are watching, you can also damage your motor by, I guess, money shifting your gears.
Yeah, money shifting, that's great. Love that. Yes, you can. You can actually damage the engine and cause some permanent damage to the car there.
Yeah, so like in Gran Turismo, where you go into a corner and you just slam down as many gears as you want, you can't do that in this game.
They have fixed that, by the way. It's not possible to do that anymore in Gran Turismo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't, no.
You can't just slam down the gears to
No,
decel.
no, because that's not realistic, and it's the real driving
No.
simulator, you know? It's finally
No,
catching
really?
up. Finally
Is
catching up
it?
with the world.
That was a good sneaky trick. I don't know what's going to happen now. If I jump back on now, I'll be slow.
I'm going to just delete the game, yeah.
Yeah.
They've actually changed that again, I think, with this physics update that they dropped today, so there could be some more challenges or changes there to consider. However, what we haven't considered is the new lead of this race, Oscar. So the leader of the Pro Series somehow has managed to inherit the lead of the race.
Yeah, and he's got Sargent on his heels.
Yep. Not too far behind. He's falling
3.9 seconds behind.
Yep. Falling a little bit behind, but still doing his best hang on there. And then Seaborn in P3 is a while back there.
Joven yet to pit.
He has to come in. I'm gonna ride on board with him here.
Yeah, he's got to come on.
He needs to absolutely come in, like at the end of this lap. If he doesn't, it will be DNF.
No, he'll get a penalty, a 1 minute 30 penalty. And for this track, I wouldn't add more. But if it was a longer track, like a over 2 minute track, I would add more time to that penalty as well after the fact, so I can actually program more time penalty into the results.
So that should give Brown the outright lead for the Dev Series drivers in this category. So, yep, Joven has timed that to a T. Oh no, he hit the wall
done the Dave.
Oh my
done
God.
the Dave. That's exactly what Dave did.
Oh my gosh, at least the teammates are consistent in their approach to pit entries.
Yeah, that's it.
So
and I think that just goes back to what you were saying before about having the optimal braking lines with the track being rubbered in, and then going onto a part of the track which does not have any rubber, and thinking that you can stop within the same amount of time.
And also the track temperature has dropped again as well. It's now down to 17 degrees, so it's getting perilously close to that 16 degree point of no return there. That's really unfortunate. Thanks, Shucky. Thanks for joining in. And thanks for all your questions. Really appreciate it. Joven missed his pit box, so he had to reverse it back there. And as he has stopped, the pit window has closed, so he's managed to time that to perfection quite luckily. Oh, I just can't believe he hit the wall on the way in.
We'll see. I don't know. Like, I don't think I've actually seen someone pit this close to it. I don't know if you have to have it completed by the pit.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Like, do you have to
let's
stop,
see what happens.
You just have to be in?
We're about to find out.
Yeah, if he gets a penalty, we'll
Watch
find
this
out.
space.
So he's dropping down the order there. He's dropped down a couple of positions already there. He's coming out of the pits at the moment, or was coming out of the pits, still looking to find the gear to get going, or he's probably getting that damage repair,
damage.
Actually, now that I think about it, yeah. The damage that came on
That would be
the
like
way.
a minute damage, I'd say. Like, we'll be here for a while. Well, here he goes. Get it started. Let's go. Yep.
So we got Brown. He's done a great job from a development series driver to be in P4 at the moment. Coming out to the back of Overbeek, who's being shown blue flags. You see this, he's sitting down there in P11. Joven's coming out of the pits in P9.
His car is all over the place.
Oh, mate, he just went. I just saw him go off to the right of my screen there on the marbles there.
Yeah, cold tyres. He must
cold
have changed.
tyres.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it was a good trick to pit nice and early so that you can get out on your tyres and warm them up during the warmer part of the race. If you recall, it was 19 degrees earlier, now it's dropped a couple of degrees.
It's like they're on ice at the moment, or he's on ice, he's got tyres that are cold and or cooled off, or if he's put a new set on, they're not bedded in as well. Another thing for ACC, for those who don't know as well, like some drivers will actually bed their tyres in during qualifying and use those sets in the race.
Oh, he's really struggling at the moment. Oh my gosh, he must be having some sort of mechanical issue with his. I mean, he did have those issues at the start of the race where he wasn't able to get off the line. So it could be some hardware or some technical issues on his end there. That's causing some drives. But he's doing the right thing. He's staying off the racetrack and riding along the grass there, letting all those cars through. It's just unfortunate to see.
It's something similar happened to me during the Brands Hatch race, where I've never had this happen before, but my wheel went like numb, so I turned it off and turned it back on again. But when it turned back on again, because I've never had to do it before, but it came on and it had changed the preset button configuration and my wheelbase setup. So I was having to turn the wheel like a full rotation to turn a 90-degree turn. So I was taking racing turns to having to turn the wheel like in a car. So I had to stop again and reset it, or go into the settings and change it back to the proper settings, which was super. And
Yeah, that's very frustrating. There's been a couple
cost me a lot of time.
Where mine has dropped out and there's just been no force feedback altogether, which is very, very frustrating when it happens mid-race. Alright, we're just doing a quick round the grounds. Everyone seems to be settled in for the end of their race there. Garcia
is closing the gap on Woods.
Yes, he is.
Not by much.
Just a little bit, yep. Garcia is trying to unlap himself against some other cars as well. He doesn't need to do it, but I think if the drivers acknowledge who they have in their rearview mirror and know that it's a faster driver, they should just let him through to carry on with his day there. Now, we believe we've had a couple of dropouts. Yes, as far as I'm aware, we had 15 drivers. We've had 3 dropouts so far. Unfortunately, probably the ones that have caused the most damage or had the most damage caused to them, which is really unfortunate to see. But we carry on with the drivers that are here at the moment. I'll be interested to know from Garcia after the race if he jumps into the Discord chat as to what happened to his surefire victory there. Maybe he was just running a super aggressive setup there. You never know. We'll find out after the race.
Yeah, I was just seeing if he had put anything into the chat channel or he was not there. Doesn't seem like it. Deuce has apologised to Overby for the mistake.
I lost Deuce, yep. Yeah, I remember that.
Deuce. Yep. And we lost the Porsche driver of the Polish driver. He was having, he was obviously having a lot of lag, and he's been complaining about lately. Like, it hasn't been so bad in the past, but I don't know what's going on lately. We're still on the same server, which is an Oceanic server. Obviously, he has latency due to how far away he's from that server.
For any of the guys playing at home or watching the live stream tonight, we just saw a black flag with an orange circle in the middle of it.
That is for somebody. Do you know which car you were on when you saw that? That is for somebody with damage.
I believe it was a car that Woods was coming up to overtake, and it looks like it's Jay Hawk, I believe.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just wait to see if the flag's being shown again. I can't see it.
Usually that flag will come out, and it is indicating that you have to turn your headlights on. Or if you have damaged headlights, you must repair them.
Ah, interesting. Okay. There could be some twist in the tails just yet. Let's see if it's try and find.
I'm not actually sure if the game will penalise you for not obeying that, though. I haven't seen it happen, but my understanding is you probably will get a DQ.
Looks like everyone has their headlights on at the moment. The only person I could think of would be Joven, but he has his damage repaired after hitting the pit wall with quite some force there.
Yep.
Now we've got 202 142. A burn holding on there in P6. Got a nice little gap there. We thought that the pit stops would cause some interesting shenanigans towards the end of this race, but it's all kind of mellowed out quite a bit, and the closest gaps I can see at the moment about 3 to 4 seconds of drift between Oscar and P Sargent in P1 and 2. So if Sargent can keep the pressure on Oscar all the way to the end of the race, there could be something up for grabs there. Let's have a look at car 713, the leader of the race at the moment there. He seems to be coming up to some traffic, so that could be a contributing factor there that may unsettle him a little bit.
What colour was that flag you saw?
Black with an orange circle.
Orange circle.
I believe that was some sort of... It's not a mechanical black flag. I've seen it before in ACC, but I just can't remember for the life of me as to what... Jayhawk goes off the track completely to let Oscar through. I mean, like you can play it safe that way and just make it really nice and clear that you're off the racing line. Also let Sargent through as well. I think Jayhawk didn't want to be considered as getting in the way of these Pro Series drivers. So credit to Hawk there for pulling off the racing line in his Audi.
It is a repair flag, so car has been deemed too damaged to carry on, and they must get it
And I
repaired,
found
or
it.
they'll face a DQ.
Check out the front bumper of car 484. It is hanging on by hopes and dreams.
Oh, yep. You can see it flickering the lights. Yep.
Yeah, not looking good there.
Yep. So he'll be getting alerts in his car at the moment, telling him that he has to come in with X amount of laps remaining, and if he doesn't do so, he'll be disqualified.
So we'll be in there for a little while, repairing a lot of damage there. Car 22 has spun around Corbino at the first chicane, just outside of Sector 1, attacking it too aggressively there, but fortunately I don't think he's lost too much time there. I think he was trying to catch car 120 of Brown, but didn't quite get there. But now with that spin, he's most definitely not going to catch up to car 120 unless they have a incident of their own accord. That's unfortunate for Dave. That's the second time in that chicane that he's had some drama occur to him.
Yeah, well, lucky for him, it's not impacted his actual leaderboard position in the pros. So obviously, it's much nicer to have the overall fourth place. Everyone's chasing it, but it's not going to impact his championship points.
Carrying on then, hopefully his tyres aren't too overcooked from that slide. Oscar has pulled out a nice gap on Sargent of at least 4.5 seconds now, and Jayhawk has tucked in on the back of them, probably trying to learn a thing or two from the Pro Series drivers there and follow their lines and gain some speed. Is there anyone close together? We've got cars 107 and 484 close together, but I believe they're lapped one another, so there's nothing really to contend for there.
I just noticed we've lost DDK as well. I don't recall seeing...
I believe he jumped to the pits, so he was being towed there, and then after that just had enough from what I could understand. Alright, where shall we check in with in terms of some racing action? They're all kind of nicely spread out, to be honest with you, and any cars that are close together are lapped cars competing, not competing with each other there, so they'll be letting each other through fairly quickly to let them get out of the way. We do have Oscar heading up to the back of car 202, which is Andrew Byrne, I believe, in P6, so Oscar's just flying out there at the moment, catching up to all the cars. Sargent's done a good job of holding on to him. I mean, over the course of an hour, still keeping within 4.5 seconds of him is no small feat. So props to Sargent there for hanging on and staying clear of the carnage and gaining some positions there.
Yeah, Sargent usually drives the Aston Martin, so I believe this is his first season in the Porsche, so he's doing quite well to get the grips with it. So was actually Garcia's first season in the Porsche, so he's doing really well with it as well.
Going for a little bit of a challenge there after winning the season last time around in the BMW, if I'm not mistaken.
That would be right.
Yep, from the M4 GT3 last season to the Porsche 911 for this season. Yeah, all the cars that are bunched up together are actually one car's in its right position, the other one's just being lapped, so there's not a whole lot going on there in that sense there. They're all going to carry on and hopefully sail on safely to the end there. I mean, props to Corbino for holding on to the race and still carrying through. He's going to grab a P5 position for his troubles. So good work to him. But also shout out to Brown, who's finishing P4 outright, but overall first in the development series category by a good margin. He's got 2 cars between him and Jayhawk in P7 there. And I think with the development series driver leader Sinclair out of the picture for tonight's race, that's going to pay really, really well to Brown in terms of his overall championship charge. This will be his second race or second class victory if he is able to finish in the position where he is tonight, which will put him at equal class victories to Sinclair, who's not here tonight.
Yeah.
5 minutes to go after an hour of racing here at Circuit Zolder. Not without drama with the start of the race. We had a couple of cars that couldn't get fired off the grid for the warm-up lap. They had a pit start, and as the rolling start began, everyone made their way through turn 1 quite cleanly, but turn 2 caused some chaos due to some latency issues between 2 drivers in particular, which took both of them out of contention right there and then, and had to get some damage repaired. Then there was a bit of side-by-side action from the Pro Series drivers up front. Garcia was streaking away. The pit windows were open. Drivers came in to repair themselves. Some drivers were serving penalties as well, which was never fun to see. But interestingly, Garcia sacrificed the lead there. We believe he may have had some communication issues with his pit crew about what tyres or what strategy he would like to run, because effectively he came into the pits, was stuck there for a very long time, and did not serve his pit stop properly, so had to go out again. So he jumped all the way from a commanding lead in P1 down to P10, which has given Oscar Woods the outright lead at the moment. He's sitting there in P1 and P Sargent in P2. Been keeping him honest the whole time. He's been within the 5 seconds the entire race, and as we come into the last couple of minutes of this race, if nothing too crazy happens, I believe that's where they'll end up.
So I've just been watching Garcia and Overbeek battling for the fastest lap. So Overbeek just had the fastest lap for a moment in time there, but looks like Garcia is pulled back.
Trying to salvage that one extra point.
Yeah, that's right.
May as well, like, while you can. We've got Baxter in P8, who has Cal Ford, who's a few laps down behind him, but he is and there are different classes driver. Looks like he's trying to catch up as well. So, Anthony, I wonder where Ford's from, because it looks like he's got some latency as well.
That might just be his.
It might just be his connection.
Router.
Yeah. 3 minutes left of the race tonight, and the clouds did settle. No rain came through, and the night did drop in quite quickly. Actually, I was very surprised. I thought it would be a little bit of time until it does. And I may tune into car 713. Yep, Oscar Woods, who just got past actually Andrew Byrne under blue flags conditions there. So that would mean that Oscar Woods has lapped everyone from P6 down. Dave Corbino in P5 will be able to finish on the same lap. So once Woods starts his lap and the other drivers who have been lapped come through, they will effectively finish their race, because they're already a few laps down there. So that'll make it a nice easy finish for them. But based on the time and the lap times that they've been doing in the race, there's probably about 2 laps to go as he crosses the line here.
Overbeek is the fastest lap again. I believe
you keeping an eye on that? Yep.
Yeah, I think it's actually 2 points for ACC. They get 2 extra points.
Okay, right.
It is kind of like it's a hard thing to actually pull off when you're setting your car up for an hour race to try and set a fastest lap. It's really depending on what your strategy is going to be, because a lot of the times the strategy would call for you to be a bit conservative on the tyres.
Yeah, interestingly, Baxter is in front of Overbeek, and Baxter's 1 lap ahead of him. Overbeek's a lap down, and Garcia's 2 laps down behind them, but they're all bunched up close together. If I was Baxter, I'd just be letting them through here at the moment, because there's no love lost in this thing. But I think both those drivers are going to be compromised on their final lap here, because they have Baxter in front of them. But they may be able to get around for another lap if they're able to do this very, very quickly. Garcia's got the job done, gone on around the outside of Baxter, so he may be able to scoot off ahead there to set 1 more flying lap. Unless
these guys will be battling just for the love of the game right now.
Yeah, exactly, yep. Oscar is coming around the final hairpin and into the chicane just before the main straight.
Overbeek's flashing away.
He's rattled Baxter there when slippery, and actually put on the wipers as a result there. Cal Ford also in the background there, went a little bit squirrely there. Oscar Woods is on his final lap. P. Sargent's not too far behind there, still within 5 seconds. Good job to Sargent for carrying on and still getting involved there. Now, I believe Garcia may be able to get around for 1 more lap. Overbeek's right behind him there, so it looks like they're actually battling as if they're contesting for an actual finishing position here, but they're just, like you said, Anthony, battling for the love of the game, but also the love of the fastest laps. So they got held up there by Baxter. Overbeek's actually giving himself a little bit of extra room there from Garcia.
Run up.
Yeah, a little bit of a run up because he's like, yep, I'm going to give myself as much time as possible. But hopefully Corbino doesn't get in the way. But I feel like they may finish here. No, they're still carrying on. They haven't received the checkered flag just yet.
No, it'll be after the leader finishes his lap, and then everyone after that crosses the line after him.
No worries there. And look, Garcia's already right on the back of Joven, who's actually gone a little bit wide there. Hopefully he stays out of the way of Garcia. I think Joven would know better than to get in the way of that Pro Series driver there. So we'll tune into this battle a little bit later as they come through the first sector. Hopefully they can get through the chicane unscathed. But
Woods' final chicane.
That's it. We're jumping back on board with Woods as he very carefully navigates through the final chicane to take the overall victory for tonight's race, round 5 of the ACC GT3 series here at Apex Point Racing League. Well deserved there from Oscar Woods. Another victory to his name there. P1, Sargent and P2, well done there for hanging on and finishing within 5 seconds there. Seaborn is a lap down in P3, so that's your podium position finishes there. We may just tune back in with Garcia and Overbeek to see how they're going in terms of the fastest lap. Look like Overbeek is compromised with Joven. Maybe Joven's a fan of Garcia over Overbeek, we never know. But over Garcia, this is his last chance to really gain the fastest lap and take that extra couple of points away from Overbeek, as we see the fireworks flying off in the background. He gets a bit aggressive with that final chicane. That may have caused him to lose a little bit of time there. Coming up to the line there, let's see if his name goes purple. It does not. Overbeek holds on to the fastest lap there. So an extra couple of points for Overbeek, but we'll catch up with the rest of the drivers here. So Sargent's completed, Bourne in P3. M. Brown is coming round to finish his last lap there. And Corbino actually got so close. He's only 3 seconds away from Brown. So if Corbino didn't have that spin in the chicane by himself a couple of laps ago, he could have had himself a P4, which is really unfortunate. But I think overall, with his drive-through and some of the incidences that he had, P5 is not a bad result at all. Burn in P6.
Great drive from M. Brown.
Ben Brown, great job for taking out the development series outright P1 position there. Burn in P6, Hawk in P7, second development series there, Baxter in P8, but third for the development series there. Garcia, what could have been for the Pro Series winner from last season, finishing P9. Joven in P10, Overbeek in P11 with the fastest lap, not without drama as well. Seaford, props to him for finishing the race. Well done, mate. 4 laps down, for great job for carrying on. And then we have a DNF for Manimal, Mdus and Krasowski, and that is the grid for the race. All done and dusted.
Yeah, well, that was fantastic. Really good racing. Enjoyable. I think if we had some more drivers on there, we had some regulars that couldn't make it this week, unfortunately, and that would have been a few more pro drivers out there and front pack runners. So we would have seen a bit more battle packs if we had all the drivers there. So we typically been getting anywhere between 16 to 20 drivers on the track at one time. It's been pretty cool. But this week we just had a bit of a light field, but short track nonetheless. So we saw a lot of action. A lot of carnage.
Definitely. Yeah, I was going to say a short track, but not without drama for sure. And Circuit Zolder, another amazing circuit, very technical, with such high speeds and also such tricky chicanes and slow speed corners to work through.
If you jump back to the pits, press start and jump back to the pit, you can go to the leaderboard and you'll be able to see all the BOPs and
Yep, so for those that are playing at home, you can see that on the right-hand side in terms of the handicap. So there's either ballast inclusion, that's either reducing weight or increasing weight, and also a power restrictor if you see a 20% next to the Mustangs. That's what Anthony was mentioning earlier. Salty67 says, thanks guys for hosting this for a GT7 driver. It was very interesting to see ACC, very different. You're welcome, mate, anytime. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and let us know. We're happy to help anyone who's interested in looking at trying something new and giving ACC a crack. So feel free to reach out. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everyone that helps to make the racing at AC and APRL possible for those working behind the scenes, especially our stewards, our hosts, Flux, who works on our race strategies, Full Grumpy, who leads the stewarding team, and all the stewards in there as well, and the rest of the crew in the background, like our moderators and things like that as well. Those who have chipped in a couple of dollars our way to support us via donations, we really do appreciate it. Make sure you get yourself some APRL merch when you can, and if you are interested in any races upcoming in APRL, if you're not in our server already, join our Discord via the link below, and we can get you set up and racing along with 700 other members in our community. But that's all from us here tonight at Circuit Zolder. Anthony, as always, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining me in the comms box.
Thank you guys, good night, and another wonderful stream, Snoopy, well done.
Thanks guys, thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you in the next one in a couple of weeks time, as we will jump back over to Gran Turismo for a Group 3 race there, so it'll be interesting to see the difference between ACC and Gran Turismo 7 in that respects there. But until then, have a good night, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of the evening.